Here's that bonus route redistribution lab I promised you with OSPF version 3, and the concept really is much the same as it was with version 2, OSPF for IP version 4, and we're just going to go ahead and introduce this loopback, which I just created, into OSPF, but instead of enabling OSPF on the interface, I'm going to do a redistribute connected to bring this route into our OSPF domain. Almost got me. IPv6 router OSPF1. And we've got a couple of options here. IS, by the way, is another link state protocol, but Cisco, I believe, has moved that protocol totally to the service provider exams, even all the way up to at the CCIE level. It's definitely not on your CCNA routing and switching exam, but I do want you to know that's another link state protocol. It's really a service provider protocol, more than one you see in everyday networks. So we are going to redistribute our connected routes. Now let's look at the options here. We have metric type, route map, and tag. Notice we don't have the subnets option here that we had to worry about with OSPF or IP version 4. So we're not going to put subnets here because there's no option for that. So we'll just put redistribute connected, and that's it. Let's go over to router 1 and take a look at the routing table. And let's give it another second or two there. There we go. And you can see now it's got this OE2 route. And here's the loopback route that we were looking for. And let's see what's going on with this OE2 here. OE2, OSPF X2, and OE1, OSPF X1. Well, that's not a whole lot of help. It's not really telling us anything. But we can deduce that OE2 is the default since we didn't mention anything else except redistribute connected. We didn't use any of the options, and OE2 is the default. Here's the oddity here to me. It's a little odd. The default with OSPF is E2 for a redistributed route, and what that does, that reflects the cost of the route from the ASBR to that destination. That's it. So it's not reflecting the cost from the local router all the way to the final destination. So it's not giving you a totally accurate metric. It's telling you here's the cost from the ASBR, which in this case is router 3, to the final destination. So for advanced studies, and again, this isn't going to be on the NA, but for advanced studies, you'd want to know how to change that, and maybe your company or maybe you in your lab, like me, like the cost to reflect the entire path. So let me quickly show you how to change that default. I'm going to go back to router 3. I wanted to run, show IPv6 OSPF. And here you'll notice now, I want to show you this before we moved on. Show IPv6 OSPF. Notice this router is now showing as an area border and autonomous system boundary router or border router, doesn't matter. ASBR still comes out the same as an acronym. And again, an ASBR in OSPF is the router that's actually performing the route redistribution into OSPF. Now, if I wanted to change the metric of that particular route or all the routes that we're doing but via redistribute connected, here's how I would do it. We'll do a redistribute connected, and we want to change the metric type, not the metric, because that's actually setting the metric, a seed metric, if you will, changing the cost. What we're going to change is type, and there's the X, and you can see here it stands for external, so we're going to change that to 1. And that's it. So let's go over to router 1 and see if it's changed that quickly. And you can see that it has. Two things have changed. First off, you've got OE1 here, so we successfully changed the metric type. And now any connected route we redistribute into OSPF is going to be an E1 route. And notice that the cost changed. Now it's reflecting the cost from the local router all the way to the final destination. So a little bonus info there for you, and a little bit of bonus information about OSPF version 3, period. And that wraps up our IP version 6 material. Again, work with that ICND1 material in addition to what you've worked with here for either the ICND2 or the full CCNA exam. And that's it for IP version 6.